Nega Yichausaga upon Nema Poyu the Due Yogi Due Natas Sabo, Tonda Sabo Garania Piovido Shibusa Tia Hotavara Ariboma Dhamma Due Sapo Rale Piotavara Nilaja Chitone Boku Boga Center Manajaya Olo Meeting with the Dhamma Ejama Due Sapoya Nangaraga Lada Bukuri Edi Dhamma Due Yayu Dojara Poidu the Dura Buddha Doja Tanjamia She Tare Dhamma Due Volari Piera Guma Machine Dhamma Due Pilumia Sadhune Ko Tene Hari Holumia Ulus Kuravali Sadhune the gay Sagoni Hidu Adu Dalu Take a look, the Yachina Pida Pima Goma Take a look, my dear Kita Take a look, the Kono Seta, the one who Jimu the Sita Goma, Tita be Goma JB Pinema to Yao Ti Olo Yaji Olo the Saint Hope Yoma, the Bawa Java, the Bawa Jaja, the Metaguna Tavi, very Harigo. Can you be Puguriga? No, can you be? You did the Lily Saza, City Sasa, Chinto, Poyu, Mary Chinapara. As a restoration, Tamatweri, Piwa Torago, Yogi Piantorago, Poyu. Dhamma Eight Judan and Java.
Yesterday, at the opening ceremony, Sayadawgyi spoke about how we are related on 2 or 3 different levels. He talked about being related, the ways we are related. And he also spoke about how beings become related by the Dhamma. The Dhamma which lifts up those who practice according to the Dhamma. From all over, yogis have come here to gain this Dhamma blood. And Sayadawgyi, to the extent that he has this Dhamma blood flowing in him, he's ready to give this. You can't give something that you don't have. That means that one can't just read books and then teach others about the Dhamma. One has to rely on a good teacher and practice according to the instructions, as well as to know a certain amount of theory. And to the extent that one gains through one's practice physical, verbal, and mental behavior which is polite, refined, and civilized, then, only then can one teach others this way so that they can become civilized, refined themselves. Only teaching in this way is natural. This is the natural way to teach. So one can only teach others after one has gained these qualities for oneself. So with loving kindness and compassion, metta and karuna, at the forefront, Sayadawgyi aims to give what he has. And if those who receive this teaching cherish it, practice it respectfully, with meticulous care and continuity, then it will be quite satisfying to give this gift. So Sayadawgyi hopes that you will all be able to work in this way.
Lulogama Ludaria Boli, Tabamachi Ludaria. Twe Osudi Shivara. Edwe Osuataku, Bidwe Osuataku, Ebi Twe Osuataku, the Suna, Odwe Osuataku Susawali, Osu Lemu Shidalu, Sarivari Papura. Eri Papura Deva. Odwe Osugaro, Poido, the Dripsan Bavana, Tiana, take to water. The Gita Bavana Tiaha Belu Aswaga, Lage, Belu Kavadu Badari, Lage, Kriya Badawan Shipi, Islam Badawan Shipi, Hindu Badawan Shipi, Jew Badawan Shipi, Badame, Edias Shipi body, Blue Lage. Ibran Dia Matin Dora Bam Sivo. Ibran Dia Atu de Dwe Tuma Kujori Soyo Gabo. Telaki a joke or a yo-yoin a joke you are at a man. Go for you go Buddha Aluja. Jesus myself say over at Reykjavik. You live over the world.
In the world, among human beings on this planet, there are 4 types of blood groups. We all have blood of one type or another. There's type A, or type B, type AB, and type O. Sayadawgyi has read about how there are these 4 basic types of blood. And in reading about this, he feels that type O blood is like the practice of satipatthana. And this is because whoever it may be who comes to practice this satipatthana, whether they're Christian, whether they're Islam, whether they're Hindu, Jewish, whether they're atheists, or have no religion, if someone comes to practice, whoever it is, they can come and do this practice without any loss of benefit. So this method, which Sayadawgyi will explain, is what the Buddha taught, and as it was explained by the late most venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. And this method is very simple.
Edwe Osu Pokuha Chaushiro Apina Twiri Twina Visuluchi to the body Twibe Tunu Pidwe Ebidwe Tuni Goma. So the old way are Edwe Odwe Edwe Pidwe Ebidwe Sila Pokore. A column Timia Pare to her. A column simply. To the Rigna Bavana Dea Haleve Lutai simply were. Pada Yozo Kogore Pokore, Padame Pokore, a column simply were to her. Simply the Bavam Siva Vodama. Didia Atote. Bama Matika Pogo, Atote Pogo Homa, Matika de Bien, ကျိုးကျေးဇူးတွေတော့မှပို့ပြီးတော့ရှိသွားတတ်ပါတယ်သူကတော့အဲဒါတော့စိတ်ချလက်ချဒီမှာလာရောက်ပြီးတော့အထုတ်ကြတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်များယုံကြည်ကြည်လေးနဲ့အထုတ်စေချင်ပါတယ်
If people who have type A have to get an infusion, a blood infusion for some reason, they have to have a blood type that is the same as theirs, and the same with type B, people of the type B group or the people of the type AB group. But type O blood is suitable for all types of people. It can be infused into any of people with any type of blood. And similarly, Satipatthana is suitable for all types of people, whether they have a religion of another type, there are many, many religions, or whether they have no religion at all. Whoever practices this Dhamma, they practice it without any damage to themselves. They benefit. They aren't hurt by it. And Sayadawgyi wants people to have trust and confidence in this as they come here to practice.
Brahma Kanyuja Mishivene alone is at a Pogoriha Guru Tribuna Bhavana Diamugo you the lilies as on it in a time Adu Thomas Lucia the Din Tomba 12 March 2 such a fit on him. Oh, the Din Tomba Joe Lucia and not 2 years of you to Jaguar. ပုဂ္ဂိုလ် 4 မျိုးရှိပါတယ်တွက်ရှင်းတွက်ထွေးလေးရှင်းလေးထွေးဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီ 4 မျိုးတွေကတွက်ရှင်းဆိုတာစကားပြောတွက်တယ်ရှင်းတယ်ရှင်းစကားနဲ့နောက်စကားဆက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့သူများကြားလို့ရှင်းနောက်တော့လည်းရှင်းတယ်အဲ့ဒီတွက်ရှင်းပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တယောက်တွက်ထွေးဆိုတော့စကားပြောတော့တွက်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လို့ရှင်းတော့စကားကမရှင်းဘူး အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကတစ်မျိုးလေးရှင်းဆိုတာကစကားပြောတော့လေးလေးပဲဒါပေမဲ့ရှင်းရှင်းလေးပြောတတ်တယ်လေးထွေးဆိုတော့စကားပြောလို့လေးရှင်းတော့စကားအမီးမဟုတ်မတည့်ဘူးထွေးလဲထွေးပြီဆိုလို့ဖြစ်ရင်တော့အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ထွေးလဲထွေးတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကတစ်မျိုးပေါ့အကောင်းဆုံးကတော့သူရှင်းပုဂ္ဂိုလ်အကောင်းဆုံးပါပဲစကားပြောတတ်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းရှင်းပြောတတ်သူတဲ့ သူကတရားရဲ့ခုံကိုနားလည်ပြီးတော့ညွန်တဲ့အတိုင်းပေါ်လေရိုသေလေးလေးစားစားစိတ်ဆက်အားထုတ်လို့ရှိရင်တရင် 3 ပါးအတွင်းပေါ်လေထူးခြားနိုင်ပါတယ်အမခံပါတယ်
Thus in the world there are people having various kinds of blood. There are people who have various kinds of beliefs. There are people who have no basic beliefs at all. They don't adopt any religion at all. But if people practice this method of Satipatthana respectfully, carefully, according to the instructions, then within 3 weeks they're sure to experience special things. Needless to say, if one practices longer than 3 weeks, one will certainly experience many special things. There are 4 kinds of people in the world. People whose speech is fluent and clear, people whose speech is fluent but confusing, people who speak slowly but what they say is clear, and people who are slow to speak and they speak in a confusing way. So this first group, they can speak easily, and when the listener finds what they say very clear, it's very easy to understand what the person says. That's the first group. They speak easily, and what they say is very clear. The second group can speak easily, fluently, but what they say is confusing. What they say first doesn't agree with what they say later. That sort of thing. The third group is slow to speak, but what they say is clear. So these people too are easy to understand, but they speak slowly, not quickly, not freely. And the fourth group, they speak slowly, and what they say is confusing. What they say earlier doesn't agree with what they then say later. So it's hard for the listener to understand, and also they don't speak quickly or clearly. So the best of these four is the person who is fluent and clear, because their speech is easy to understand, and they can speak easily. This person, if they understand the qualities of the Dhamma, the virtues of the Dhamma, and practice respectfully and carefully, within 3 weeks, Sayadawgyi guarantees they will experience special things.
ဒုတိယပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကတော့တွတ်ထွေးတဲ့စကားပြောတော့တွတ်တော့တွတ်တယ်။ဒါမှလည်းထွေးရှုပ်တယ်။ရှေ့စကားလည်းနောက်ရောက်နောက်စကားလည်းရှေ့ရောက်တာပေါ့လေ။စကားဆက်ဆောက်အောင်ပြောတတ်ဘူး။အဲဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကတော့ညွန်တဲ့တိုင်းအားထုတ်လို့ရှိရင်အတိဉာဏ်လေးတွေတော့ဖြစ်လို့ပါတယ်။ဒါပေမဲ့လို့ရှင်းရှင်းလေးမတင်ပြတဲ့အတွက်သူ့အတိညာဖြစ်တော့ဖြစ်တယ်တင်ပြမှုကမရှင်းတဲ့အတွက်ရှုပ်ထွေးသွားတယ်တော့မျိုးလေးအဲ့ဒါမျိုးလေးဘုန်းကြီးတို့သတိထားပါတယ်
The second type of person can speak fluently, that is, easily. It's true, but what they say is confusing. They say things that should be said last, they say them first, and vice versa. So it is hard for people to follow what they are saying. If this person practices according to the instructions, then knowledge will arise. But because their speech is confusing, how they present their experience is confusing, then it's not so clear what is happening with them. So the teachers have to be careful about this type of person.
Now, tatiya ro leshin sona saka pyo ro le ba be. Da mo lo tu saka shin noအရှင်းပြေတယ်ပေါ့ရှင်းရှင်းပြောရတယ်အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ရောတော့ညွန်တဲ့တိုက်တိတိကျကျအားထုတ်လို့ရှိရင်သူရှင်းပုဂ္ဂိုလ်လို့မမြောင်ပေမဲ့လို့လည်းလည်းတော့အချိန်ပူရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကတော့တလားကွဲအဲ့လိုအားထုတ်လိုက်လို့ရှိရင်တော်တော်လေးပြည့်စုံတတ်ပါတယ်သူကတော့
The third type of person whose speech is slow but clear. This person is slow to speak, but in terms of what they say, it's very clear. Their meaning is very clear. It's quite easy to follow because they say what should be said first, and so on. So what they say about their experience is quite clear to the teacher. This person will not develop knowledge as fast as the person who is both fluent, easy with speech and clear. But because this person will have to take a little bit more time. But such a person within 1 month or 1.5 months practicing according to the instructions, can develop the Dhamma quite thoroughly in that amount of time.
Now, so late is the Sakabula lady, the Luna Luma Jayiva, Sakabula machine. Peter Tinyari shop you at the Guru Mobile. Salivari Patari, Bari, the shop you at the Kulolo, the other day, Kama, and you mobile attended you at the Sali shop you at the Kono Twitch of Gonadama. Very little Pugoro. Tanya, Nuja, and then Kekevare. A yogi Pogo, you never point to two.
The fourth type of person is slow in their speech, and what they say is confusing. Slow means it takes them a long time just to get out one word, 2 words, 3 words. So it takes them a lot of time, and then what they say is not clear. For example, they may have read a lot, and they include that. They don't speak about what they experience necessarily. They talk about what they read or what they think is happening. And when they talk about what they think is happening instead of what they really experience, then instructing this person is quite difficult. And Sayadawgyi has encountered this type of yogi before.
Today, pure Mekisagaro.တရားထုတ်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာပထမဆုံးအရေးကြီးဆုံးဟာဘာလဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေအရေးကြီးဆုံးဆိုတာကကိုယ်ချင်းသီလပါပဲကိုယ်ချင်းသီလကိုပထမဆုံးစပြီးတော့ပြောမှာပါတော့
Today what Sayadawgyi would like to talk about is what is the most important thing for people who are going to practice meditation. And that is our own personal behavior or morality.
လူမှာကိုယ်ရည်သီလဟာသိအရေးကြီးပါတယ်ဘလောက်ပဲလောကီပညာတွေတတ်ဘလောက်ပဲဖွဲ့ရရ PhD တို့ဘာလို့ညာတို့ဘာလို့ဖွဲ့ရရဘလောက်ပဲပစ္စည်းတွေချမ်းသာဘယ်လောက်ပဲကျမ်းမာရေးတွေကောင်းဘယ်လောက်ပဲအတိုင်းဝန်းတွေကောင်းအခြေခံကိုယ်ရည်တွေလားမရှိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာလူမပြည့်တော့လူဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အခြေခံလူကျင့်ဖို့လူသိက္ခာရှိရမှာလူတော်လည်းပဲကြည့်ရမှာဓမ္မလူလို့ခေါ်ရတယ်ရှင်ဟန်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရှင်ဟန်သိက္ခာဖို့ရှင်ဟန်တာဝန်ဖို့လေဒါတွေရှိရပါတယ်တမန်အဲ့လိုအကျင့်သိက္ခာနဲ့တာဝန်ကြည်တဲ့အပေါ်မှာရိုးသားဖြောင့်ရှင်းမှုတဲ့အဲ့ဒါသိအရေးကြီးပါတယ်တမန်ဒီနေ့ပြောချင်တာကတော့အဲ့ဒီကိုကျင့်သီလအစပြီးတော့ပြောပါပဲ
For humans, our personal behavior is very important. No matter how much worldly education we may have, no matter how many degrees we may have gotten, PhD or others, no matter how many things we possess, no matter how wealthy we are, no matter how good our health is, no matter how many friends we have, without basic morality, we're not truly human. If we're human, then we need to behave like human beings. We have to perform what is our human responsibility. For monks, their monastic rules are what they have to keep. This is their Sila. And we must be honest about what it is that we do. So Sayadawgyi would like to speak about this, the morality that we keep. If a person does not have any shame or fear regarding what they do, if they don't have any ability to understand how other people feel, such a person will lack, will be without basic morality. They will just do what they think is good to do. If they have no shame or fear about what they do, no ability to be sympathetic towards others, such a person will just do whatever they think is okay.
Buddha Kavashi Ludari Chiga Luda Pida out Little and Needy body. Something that is Shamu, something that is Samu, usually Shimjagavar. I don't know what Duchirita, Jinsu, Sujirita, Jin Gosana, Quavido, However. Quavido Jagavar, Duchirita, so that Jinturi. Kunesa Jinsua Tomio. No necessary Jinsua Tom Lemio. Say necessary Jinsua Tomio Savali. Quavido, however.
The Buddha had a method, he taught a method for people of the world to be basically human. That is, to avoid doing what shouldn't be done and to do the things which should be done. It's very simple. So the Buddha spoke about ducharitas and sucharitas, two basic groups of things. Ducharitas are misdeeds by way of physical, verbal, and mental. There are 3 types of physical wrongdoing, 4 types of verbal wrongdoing, and 3 types of mental wrongdoing. So this is what the Buddha taught.
Ducharita Jesus said, Yulega. Kunesa Jinsuaro Takshamu is a Takshamu. Do not be seen Matiayu Komu Kama Tangjamu Komu Pamasina, the Mibio de Chesida, Komu Mamasina, Tumiam Tamia de Goboli. Kama Tongjana, what I'm very Takune Sate Jinsu. No necessary Jinsu or Lena, Tune to Mateo Yantaita. Pero Chanjantana says to Mongamido Josura. Animated the Gari, Lega, Chinko Kamido Josura. That no necessary Jinsu. Say necessary Jinsu to do up PC by Yalura. Matia Yalura. To me a Pisilura. Yabara. Kaune Kunotita Tumulia Kauyo. Macaune Kunotita Tumulia, Soju Yare, Suravoli. Mayonchi, there is Timothy Harana Piton a saga, Salusi Sapide, in a pit in a Chamaria, a Janza Yugimu Masibo, Erari, Tanzania Jumuria, Jomea. Matanchina Kunotica Jumuria, Sojo Mia Surabody. The Bida Vesurabody, as you touch the Procure. There are seen as such a chin to live.
Among these 10 misdeeds or ducharitas, the 3 physical misdeeds are killing, torture, stealing, and committing acts such as adultery, rape, harming others sexually, being involved with people not your spouse. And these are physical misdeeds. And verbally, there are 4 things: lying, slandering, using harsh speech, and talking frivolously, meaninglessly. And mentally, mental misdeeds are wanting to take what belongs to others unjustly, planning such things, trying to plan how to destroy others, harm others. And then not believing in, for example, if we do something good by way of body, speech, or mind, it'll bring good results. If we do something bad by way of body, speech, or mind, it will bring bad results. Not believing in that. And it's just as though one were not to believe that, okay, if I eat something suitable for me, I'll get good health. If I eat something that's terrible for me, I'll have bad results. Similar to not having that understanding is the lack of understanding about good deeds bringing good results and bad deeds bringing bad results. Thinking, for example, when we die, that's it. All these things, these 4 types of beliefs, or these 4 types of mental attitudes, are the 4 kinds of mental misdeeds.
Abu Yoga is Zorigo, Julian Bidovoli, Sapatal with Kalina Mita Kore, Missouri, I will purely with Chipsi, as of Matata. Didn't have it, I actually didn't have it. She was didn't have it, Erarigo. You net the war. A little hero tobacco. The knee cousins are at the war body. There is here about it. Jubilo level, the Arego. Timothy solution or Yonalemsi, Sana Salemsi body. As a Poco Rigaro, a cheap gettery, Yavada.
So these misdeeds, one should know about them in advance. One should, either by reading about them or by hearing about them from a good spiritual friend, one should know that these are things which are bad to do. And when one knows about these types of wrong deeds and despises them, that is called hiri and otapa, or moral shame and moral dread. One should have this type of attitude. Or, on the other hand, one should have the understanding of how other people feel when they're harmed. If one should have either of these types of attitudes. If one doesn't know about what is right and what is wrong, if one doesn't know about these types of deeds which are wrong to do. And if one doesn't have any disgust for committing such actions, or no ability to understand how a person feels when they're harmed, most people who, in this situation, lacking these qualities of shame and fear or ability to be sympathetic, most people in that situation are immoral.
ကိုယ်နဲ့နှုတ်နဲ့ဆက်တဲ့အကျေဆုံးအုပ်စုနှစ်ခုကိုတော့မစင်ယွန်သလိုပေါ့လေရဲနေတဲ့မိရဲကိုယွတ်သလိုပေါ့မစင်ကိုမစင်မသိဘူးဘာမှမကြိုက်ဘူးအနာလည်းမကန်နိုင်ဘူးကြိုက်လည်းမကြိုက်ဘူးရဲနေတဲ့မိရဲကိုပူမွန်းသိတော့ဘယ်သူမှမထိဘူးအဲ့တော့မစင်ယွန်သလိုခုနမိခဲကိုခရမ်းမှာယွတ်သလိုတဲ့အဲ့ဒါဘုန်းကြီးတို့ပါဠိလိုတော့ဟိတုတ္တပခေါ်ရတယ်အဲ့ဒီသုတ္တဟိတုတ္တပရှိဖို့သိရကြပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီဟိတုတ္တပရှိလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီအမှုတွေကိုပြုရမှာယောတော့သတ်မှုရှောင်ခေါ်မှုရှောင်ကာမတောင်းကြမှုရှောင်လို့လွယ်ပါတယ်လိမ်မှုရှောင်မွေးရစီဝတောက်ရှုမှုရှောင်ဒါတွေလည်းပဲရှောင်မှုလွယ်ပါတယ်သူကတော့ရှောင်လိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်မှလည်းပဲအခြေခံကုจิตတရားမပြည့်သူတစ်ပါးကိုလည်းမထိခိုက်ရအောင်ကာဝယ်ဆောက်ရှောက်ပြီးသားဖြစ်သွားတယ်တစ်ချက်ခုနှစ်ချက်ပြကိုယ်သာကိုယ်မှုနှုတ်ကိုစိတ်ကျတဲ့အကျိုးရတာမဟုတ်ဘူးသူတစ်ပါးကိုလည်းမထိခိုက်ရအောင်ကာဝယ်ဆောက်ရှောက်ပြီးသားဖြစ်သွားတယ်လူဆိုတာကိုယ်ရင်းစာတရားရှိရတယ်အခုပြောခဲ့တဲ့မတရားမှုတွေကကိုယ်ပိုင်ခံရင်ကိုယ်ကိုယ်ခံရလို့ရှိရင်ခံနိုင်ဘူးတစ်ဖက်သားပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေလည်းခံနိုင်မှာမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတာပေါ့လေစာနာစိတ်အပြည့်နဲ့ပေါ့လေကျွလွန်ဖို့ရလောဘဒေါသတွေမောဟတွေဖြစ်ကြအောင်တော့မှစာနာစိတ်နဲ့သူတစ်ပါးကိုမထိခိုက်ရအောင်ကာဝယ်ဆောက်ရှောက်လိုက်တယ်သူတစ်ပါးလည်းကိုယ့်အတွက်နဲ့ဘာမှကိုယ်စိတ်ဆင်းရဲခြင်းမရှိတော့မထိခိုက်တော့ဘူးကိုယ်လည်းပဲမကျွလွန်ရအောင်ထိန်းသိမ်းပြီးသားဖြစ်သွားတယ်အဲ့ဒါပါဠိလိုစီလလို့ခေါ်ရတယ်ဓမ္မကိုယ်နဲ့နှုတ်ပြောစရာကြဲစရာပြည့်ကင်းအောင်လို့ထိန်းသိမ်းတာတဲ့
When one is disgusted by physical and verbal misdeeds, just as disgusted as one would be by feces, if one is as afraid of doing wrong deeds by body or speech, just as much as one would be afraid to pick up a red-hot coal, these are attitudes which we should have. If we know that something that we see is feces, if we know that it's feces, we won't pick it up. And if we know that something is red hot, we also won't touch it. Having this type of disgust, healthy disgust and fear regarding misdeeds is called hiri and ottappa in Pali, moral shame and moral dread. And it's very important for humans to have these qualities. If we have this type of moral shame and moral dread, then it's easy to avoid killing and torturing. It's easy to avoid stealing. It's easy to avoid adultery and other sexual misdeeds. It's easy to avoid lying, slander, harsh speech. If one can avoid these physical and verbal misdeeds, one's morality is kept intact. one's morality is clean, and others are not harmed. So this accomplishes two things at once, two at a blow. Because when we refrain from wrongdoing, it's not just for ourselves, it helps others too. People should have the understanding about how it feels to be harmed. People should have the ability to know, I wouldn't want to experience that sort of thing. And others don't like it either. This is the type of understanding one should have. And with this understanding, even though one still has greed, hatred, and delusion, one will control oneself and thus protect others. One won't cause others any harm. And at the same time, one will keep one's moral behavior clean and pure. And this is called Sila, or morality, controlling one's physical and verbal behavior so that it's pure.
Any do say the Shauna to the fair, she by Gradusari Tomana was you do say Tomago. Something I know she and now is that Josia Kasia Lotora. Do Sura, which a Kayado and near Varetama. Any day in Lucia, but woman Kayabo. Kono a yaini level, anything that they came with a Kono in Jilare. Koyono, they would lare. There are Nitasia level. There are Jasia level. Coco was since Agilucian, a taking letter. Winching whatever do come a bit at where, winching level, Ijamuli or Cookabali, or Yete look at network. Winching Kabali is another.
When we can avoid these misdeeds, particularly the 3 physical misdeeds and the 4 verbal misdeeds, this is called anavaja. This is what results, and this means that one is free of fault. We live in a world where we're not isolated from others. Others around us look and they see what we do. And when we don't do these misdeeds, then people around us won't blame us. Our behavior will be pure, become gentle, refined, and this is delightful. When we reflect on our own behavior, avoiding these misdeeds, we'll feel delighted ourselves. And by not committing misdeeds, we don't harm those around us. Thus, our environment, the world around us, becomes peaceful. By keeping our own small world peaceful, by controlling ourselves, the world around us also becomes peaceful.
We Pali to Punya look for Punya Sura. Kune, no necessary, Pioja Kasia. Pikina Tanshina Elu Tanshimuha the day look at Jamuro to Korea look for it. Korea to a Western Kataba, local Loma. The Tanshimu to like local Loma. Korea look for it. Local lawyer may have hit all, could no Tanshimu what to the Sayadawgyi is only hit all. SADHU a Johnny. The near level, Kay looked at Johnny, Julia, what to look over at them.
In Pali, the language of the Buddha, there's a word, punya, And this refers to things which are free of fault, physically, verbally, and mentally. And these are things which must be done without fail. They must be done. Thus they're called kriya. When we do these acts of punya, these purifying deeds which must be done, they become the basis for us to gain special happiness. Or another way of looking at it is, they become the basis for us to become free of criticism and blame. And for that reason, they are called SADHU. That means basis or foundation.
Ko anayu lo so bare. Tilane me pye song lo shi ye loba dosa de moa de long ke pi ro ko le tu nya anai chin jade. Chin do de phit de tu nya anai chin jade. Ko nai lo shi ye nai aw ko na loba dosa de me tain lo shi ye ko anayu de. Ayi ji da lu ye lo phit la bi so lo shi ye. Tu ba ko Mataya anayu bo de. Tiya de ko anayu bo ate ye ji ba de. Ko anayu da lo shi ye ko wen ka ba le le nyin ja ne. Wu jin ka ba le le nyin ja ne de. Ka ba nyin ja ye so da. Bho yi do Buddha Myat Swa ayin ka ho do ba de. Ko wen ka ba le nyin ja ye de. Ka ba du ka ba da de ya. Every time I go in Kavali, Ninja, and as a Navati Lama gives on my solution, Kavaji, Pelushim, that's what I since our body.
If we have Sila, morality, then we are people who have mastered themselves. People are such that when they have extreme greed, extreme hatred, extreme delusion, they go around conquering other people. But if we keep morality, we can be said to conquer ourselves because we don't follow those tendencies. It's very important, if we are human, not to conquer the world around us, but to conquer our own self, to conquer the tendencies inside us. This makes our individual world peaceful, our own little world. And when our own world, ourself, is peaceful, then the world around us will be peaceful also. This is the way that the Buddha taught to peace. If the people of the world would at least keep 5 precepts, how would the world be? Think about it. Sila ne Visuddhi bong lai lo shin Sila Visuddhi era khora ba be. Ku ro boi ro yogi de kapa chin ji phit de Sila ko bo le ma yow ya ma jow ya aw lo thai thai saw saw ne ne atwet ne dai ko mu ya no mu ya le de ha api kin tan shinနေတာပဲSila Visuddhi ဖြစ်
Sila Lucian, take Ayasya Kona. Dalila never to Genesia Kona. Davi Melo, Sita without the sake by simple lonely vaded. Area no need some of a sepio mother. The near road and I gave her on hollow. The late Dalo never told also. Not how they come out. Sulu say not how they did you were. Purposes are not on the scene of the own. They each other no, not how much do I.
When we make our own individual world peaceful by avoiding the 3 kinds of physical misdeeds and the 4 kinds of verbal misdeeds, what happens in us? Our body and speech, our actions and speech become clean and pure, very pure. And this is called visuddhi. And because what we practice, this control of physical and verbal behavior, is called Sila. When we put these 2 together, it is called Sila Visuddhi, or purity of Sila. So the yogis here are carrying out what is a universal responsibility, that is to keep Sila, keep morality. And every day we have pure, clean physical and verbal behavior. So if we think about this, it's very satisfying, just this much. But we still need chitta, visuddhi, or purity of mind. And this is what Sayadawgyi will speak about tomorrow. And the last thing which Sayadaw said is that when we listen to the Dhamma talk, people need to focus. They need to listen attentively, not carelessly. One should listen cherishing the Dhamma which is being taught and listening with respect and focus. That's all for tonight. And Sayadawgyi adds, keeping your Sila complete, this which is our basic human responsibility, from this may we be able to practice and develop the Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.